if you think that your models look a bit amateur, but you can't put your finger on it, you don't know really what's going on, what's the problem, then you may be surprised to know that it could be a balance issue. So if you don't know how to distribute details, if you don't know how to drive simple shapes to make them look appealing, then you will never be able to actually create something really cool. So in this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to drive a very simple shape. And we're going to talk about it and discuss, what we're doing and, what's happening, right? So let me just create a very simple kind of like a wall here, all right? And we're going to create kind of a very simple sci-fi device on that wall, okay? So let's grab a cube and we're going to, well, let's run it somewhere in the middle here. So C, and then press B for new body, right? And we're going to drop it down somewhere here, okay? And maybe bring it a little bit in, so GZ and bring it in, right? We're going to press 2 and Ctrl-Alt-click here to bevel this, all right? And now what I want to do is I want to cut it, but I want to cut it in an interesting way. So Alt-click here to grab this edge, Shift-D and X and move this, this curve in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab this curve here, so line curve, so Shift-A. And we're going to create a cut here on the bottom like this. So here, tap Shift here and click here, then Alt X, press F, right? And we're going to copy this to the other side here, okay? So there we go. Now we're going to trim this bit here in the bottom because we don't need that. And we're going to combine all these together, right? So J, okay? Now I'm going to grab these 2 points and I'm going to bevel them. Because I want to make a bevel here, okay? And we don't really need this one, we can nuke this, okay? Cool. Then I'm going to grab this and we're going to offset it. So O, and I'm going to offset it in like this, right? Just a little bit. I'm going to nuke this one and I'm going to grab that and Shift Q and I'm going to imprint it, okay? So we can nuke it now. And we're going to grab this panel here and insert it in. Then I'm going to press Shift D, Shift F, and we're going to thicken it outside. And we're going to align it with this frame, okay? Boom, right? Cool. So now here we could make bevels as well. So Alt Z and grab this edge here and create a bevel like that. That's cool. I'm going to do the same thing here, okay? So grab this, create a bevel and accept it. Cool. So now what we're going to do, we're going to cut this here, but we're not going to cut it in the middle, you see, because if I do this in the middle, right, it's going to create very uniform, sort of boring two halves, very static. What you want to do, you want to offset this, okay? So you want to bring this a little bit down here and create an interesting dynamic. So C, left, right, and now you see we get this beautiful massive panel here and this small panel here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 cuts here in the top, 2 elements, because I want you to look here and then being anchored all the way up to the top. So I want you to admire the entire design, not just a part of it. You see what I mean? So I'm creating anchors for the eyes to travel from here, which there is like a pattern, disturbance, right? Because the line kind of curves up and down, all the way up here and then to the right and back to the bottom, okay? So let's grab a cube and we're going to run some details here like this. They got to be small. And I'm going to pop them in, right? And we're going to bevel them, right? And chamfer them, okay? And I'm going to bevel this and this and this, right? Okay, and I'm going to mirror this. So 4 Alt X and mirror Q and done. You see what I've done now? I created a triangle here between all of these. So your eye is gonna be kind of, hovering over back and forth. I needed these elements here because I created this massive kind of like a travel path here between this element and the top of the frame, and there was nothing here really anchoring the eyes, right? So we created visual pulls or visual anchors here on the top to make it go up. So now let's work here on the bottom. And on the bottom here, what I would like to do, I would like to concentrate some more details here on this handle. So what we could do here, we could actually cut this. So let's grab another cutter and cut it like this, right? And let's just go a little bit higher. So GY, somewhere here, and maybe a bit lower. So we're gonna be again in 2/3 from the top and 1/3 from the bottom line here, and then C left, right. I'm gonna cut this, okay? And what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to grab this thing, move it in, okay? And I'm going to bevel it in here and here, right? And I'm going to bevel it here as well, okay? Cool. So now we got this second line here that, you know, creates another, you know, area of interest and detail, right? So even if I turn this off, if I put mats here, you're gonna be able to see that, okay? Cool. Next thing what we're gonna do, we're going to make this line here a bit thicker. So what I would do here, I would create a chamfer that's going to create a really, you know, quite distinctive division between these two, okay? And a bevel, right? So now you see we got this panel broken and it's really heavy at the moment, right? So in order to, you know, sort of combat this and kind of make this a bit lighter, we're gonna create two more elements on the bottom. So one of them is gonna be here. So let's say we're gonna be some screws, okay? Right. So let me just run this again. So B and pop it in, and then 4Q and press. Actually, we can mirror this, right? And then we're going to chamfer this and bevel this on both edges. And I'm going to mirror this, okay? So now 4, Alt X and mirror Q and boom. And you see now what I've done is I created more visual weight at the bottom, right? So we pull in the bottom, we see all these elements, and then we pull to the top, okay? Now, if you wanted to make it really interesting, right? Really interesting, what you want to do is you want to break the pattern, because at the moment we're very symmetrical. Everything is symmetrical. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to break this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create kind of like an inner panel here, and I'm going to align it to these lines. So Alt Z, so we can see that. And I'm going to align it somewhere here on this height, okay, like this. And you see, again, I'm going 2/3 from the top, 1/3 from the bottom, right? And I'm going to bevel these a little bit. So we're going to be now echoing the bevels here from the corners. So we're going to following the same design language, okay? And I'm going to imprint it, okay? So imprint it, boom, here, right? And I'm going to bring it in the same way, and I'm going to bring it out. So Shift D, Shift F, and thicken, right? And I'm going to bring it a little bit deeper. So I mean a little bit outside this whole shape, right? And let's create a bevel here like this. Cool. And then I'm going to run. In fact, you know what? Maybe it's going to be better if we're going to align these. So let's align them like this, and then run the bevel here. This could be interesting. Or a chamfer. This could be really interesting. Cordal here, and I want the same bevel here actually. Boom, right? How are we looking? Oh, we're looking fantastic. Brilliant. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create some sort of like a you know, like a vent, okay? So let's grab these, and we're going to create a vent here on the bottom. So again, not the whole width, just a part of this mesh, right? B. Let's just angle this, so RR and hold control like this, and then we're going to, you know, array this going. Actually, before we array this, let's just bevel this, right? Then we're going to array this going down, right? Like this. Let's go for 7. You know, when something is odd or asymmetrical, it's usually better. Pop it somewhere here in the bottom, and then bring it in. So GX, right? And select this one, right? And then Q, hold Shift and cut all these, right? And we're going to just simply, bevel this, right? Just a little bit, okay? Chordal. Perfect. How are we looking? You see, now that's interesting, right? Because you see, now what we got here going on is this bottom part, and I will still need to, kind of flesh out this handle a little bit better. So I would grab this bevel and nuke this 3, alt click here. I would scale this in fact, remove these bevels here, make them larger like this, right? So nuke this one, and I'm going to copy the bevel from here, and I'm going to, bevel this, right? Okay, and bring it in. So 4 and GY, right? Oh, GX. Wait. 4GZ. There we go, that's what I want. And we're gonna create a bevel here. All right, and we're gonna create a bevel here. Okay, cool. So see, now we got this kind of like a darker part here because this element is inside of the mesh, right? So if I turn the lines off, you see that? You can see how it reads. It's pretty aggressive. Now, what I would also like to do is to create some sort of like a, outline around this shape, and I think it's gonna look better. Before we're gonna go any further, let me tell you that if you wanna learn properly how to model in Plasticity and how to actually understand design, you should definitely grab a really good course, and we have one. It's called the Ultimate Guide to Plasticity, in which I'm gonna show you how to design this amazing spaceship. Exterior, interior, we're gonna bring it to Blender, we're going to texturing, detail it, render it, and post-process. The render is the whole process, right? You're gonna learn a lot about surfacing, about Boolean workflow, but most importantly, about how to drive design decisions, how to make the right ones, and how to basically create really awesome stuff in Plasticity. It's Ultimate Guide to Plasticity. The link is in the video description. So now what I want to do is I want to create some sort of like a framing for it. So let's pop a bevel here because we should have a bevel. Chordal, right? And let's combine these two. So combine these two, like QQ. And we're going to run a sort of like a frame here around it, right? And then bevel and bevel, okay? Boom. And there you go. So you got the framing, and then you got this panel kind of built into the wall that has these, kind of notches on the top and the bottom. You got these screws and the handle and this offset. So now, if you look at this design, right, you can clearly see that we have both static and dynamic elements. We have beautiful negative space, which is this one here, right? This entire space is very open here as well. And we have kind of like concentration of details, okay? So we have a detail here on the bottom, then we have here and on the top. And your eye is gonna be kind of circling around here, all around this shape, and, kind of discovering all these elements. Now, this is a simple shape, but you may ask, okay, how about complicated stuff, right? Look, it's the same principle, okay? Let's say that this entire panel here was a mech, and this one was just a mech's head. So what you want to do is you want to focus on the mech's head and treat it like a separate model. So you're going to be applying the same principles. So for example, if we have this thing in the bottom here, right, these cuts here in the bottom, what you could do, for instance, is create here in the top a handle that's going to be, I don't know, maybe opening this hatch, right? So we could create, let's just grab the line curve here and create something very simple here like this, right? And I'm going to, bevel this, right? And we're going to grab this up, so G and Z, and move it up here, right? and I'm going to extrude it, so E, okay, and we're going to thicken it, so Shift F and thicken, right, to create a handle, okay, and we're going to, you know, bevel these two, right, okay, and the one at the bottom, right. So we got a handle. Now let's just align it, right? So we want this handle more or less on the middle here on the top, we see. And you see now what we got here, we got this handle here in the middle, right? And this handle is going to be offsetting these here on the bottom. If you wanted to add more to it, you could, and you could echo these screws here and make them smaller for this panel, right? So we could go here with, you know, a circle and create tiny, you know, tiny screws here, right? So one here and one on the other side, right? Now we can't really mirror this, so let's just preserve the cutter and move it to the other side, right? So here, cut it, right, and press T. So now we can grab this, you know, this element, right? And we can, let's make it a bit thicker. And we're going to grab this and Shift D and Y and or X and move it in here. Let me just see if it's actually aligned properly. Somewhere here, right? Select that one and Q and cut it. So now we got two cuts here, right? And I'm going to chamfer them in the same way. And you see now we got this kind of like a repetition of this bottom design up here. And then we got this handle, which is kind of echoing these, right? So you got like a design inside of the design, like a Russian doll situation. Do you see what I mean? So when you're designing something like this, you need to think that, you know, first of all these elements create one design, but also each of these is a design on its own, right? So when you're going to be creating something more complicated, simply work in isolation in terms of, you know, grab this and think, okay, this is a whole model I'm working on, and now I'm going to be distributing details accordingly. Do you see what I mean? So then it's going to fit. And then think also in terms of what kind of elements are present in the whole model. You can echo them, repeat them, and like for example, this panel here kind of repeats the idea of this big panel. You see what I mean? It's narrower, but has the same bevels. It's also vertical, you know, and these, right, are this panel basically, but flipped, you know, 90 degrees and arrayed downwards. You see what I mean? This shape here kind of resembles this as well, or some of these, or a handle, or even these. Do you see what I mean? Like the design is consistent. So when you start talking in the same design language, is like speaking the same language to some person, right? They're going to understand you because they also speak the same language, right? So if all of these parts going to speak the same language, you know, it's going to all make sense suddenly, right? So instead of thinking about the whole design and being overwhelmed and kind of slapping random details, sit down and think how you're actually designing stuff, you know, be conscious about it, right? And if you want to learn how to design this stuff, you know, you need to take your time and study. You need to surround yourself with really good references. And also you should definitely invest in some good courses. I would highly recommend you grab our course for Plasticity, the ultimate guide to plasticity, which is going to teach you how to design this sick ship. We're going to do some surfacing, some Boolean workflow, some Blender work. It's a really amazing course. It could teach you how to design this ship and the interior, how to render this stuff. So you're going to learn a lot. And if you want to improve your knowledge on plasticity itself and get some really interesting tips on it, then watch this video next. I'm going to share with you 10 amazing techniques you can apply today in your workflow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.